Marriage is the only contract where you promise forever based on how you felt when brain chemistry was making you temporarily insane. You're making a lifetime decision during the phase when you're least qualified to make rational decisions. And most people ignore the one checklist that actually predicts whether a marriage will thrive or slowly suffocate. In this video, I'll reveal the brutal compatibility markers that matter more than love, why most couples skip them, and how to know if the person you're with is actually marriage material or just a good time. Here's the uncomfortable truth most people avoid. Love is not enough. You can love someone deeply and still be completely wrong for each other. Love is the spark. Compatibility is the fuel. And most marriages fail not because the love dies, but because the compatibility was never there to begin with. Think about it. You meet someone. Chemistry is instant. You laugh at the same jokes. The sex is great. You feel understood, so you assume that's enough. You get engaged, you get married, and then, slowly, the cracks start showing. You disagree about money. You parent differently. You want different things from life. And suddenly, the love that felt unshakable starts to erode under the weight of daily incompatibility. That's the trap. People marry for love and divorce over logistics. So the real question isn't do you love them? It's can you build a life with them? And most people never ask that question until it's too late. Let me give you the checklist. These are the non-negotiables. The things you need to align on before you even think about marriage. If you skip these, you're gambling with your future. And the house always wins. First, financial compatibility. Money is the #1 thing couples fight about. And it's not because they don't have enough. It's because they have different values around it. One person is a saver. The other is a spender. One person thinks experiences matter. The other thinks security matters. And neither is wrong. But if you don't align, you'll resent each other for the rest of your lives. Let me tell you a story. I knew a couple who seemed perfect. They were in love, had great chemistry, talked about the future constantly, but they never talked about money. She believed in living in the moment, traveling, buying things that made her happy. He believed in saving, investing, building long-term wealth. After they got married, the fights started. Every purchase became a battle. Every financial decision became a referendum on their values. Within 3 years, they were divorced. Not because they stopped loving each other, but because they fundamentally disagreed on how to live. That's why financial compatibility is the first checkpoint. You need to ask these questions. What's your relationship with money? Are you a saver or a spender? What does financial security mean to you? How do you handle debt? What are your financial goals for the next 5, 10, 20 years? If you can't align on these, don't get married. Because financial stress will kill even the strongest love. Second, conflict resolution style. Every couple fights. The question isn't whether you fight, it's how you fight. Because how you handle conflict reveals whether your marriage will survive or slowly die. Some people fight to win. They raise their voice, attack character, go for the kill. Others shut down. They withdraw, go silent, refuse to engage. Both styles are poison. If you marry someone whose conflict style is incompatible with yours, you'll spend your life either feeling attacked or feeling abandoned. Let me give you an example. I dated a girl who shut down during conflict. The moment things got tense, she'd go silent, wouldn't respond, wouldn't engage. It drove me insane because I wanted to resolve things immediately. We'd fight about one thing, but the real issue was always the same. We couldn't communicate under stress. That's a deal breaker, because stress is inevitable. If you can't navigate conflict together, you can't navigate life together. So here's the checkpoint. How do you handle disagreements? Do you attack or withdraw? Do you listen or defend? Do you repair quickly or hold grudges? If you can't fight fair, don't get married, because unfair fighting kills intimacy faster than anything else. Third, life vision alignment. This is the big one. You can align on money. You can align on conflict. But if you want fundamentally different lives, the marriage is doomed. One person wants kids, the other doesn't. One person wants to live in the city, the other wants the countryside. One person values career, the other values family time. These aren't small differences. These are life-defining. And if you don't align, someone will have to sacrifice. And resentment always follows sacrifice. I'll give you a brutal example. A friend of mine married a woman he loved, but she wanted kids immediately. He wanted to wait 5 years to build his career. They thought love would solve it. It didn't. She resented him for delaying. He resented her for pressuring. Within 2 years, the marriage was a battlefield. They divorced, and both said the same thing. We loved each other, but we wanted different lives. That's why life vision alignment is non-negotiable. You need to ask these questions. Do you want kids? How many? When? Where do you want to live long term? How important is career versus family? What does your ideal life look like in 10 years? If your answers don't align, don't assume you'll compromise later. You won't. You'll resent each other. Fourth, emotional maturity. This is the one most people overlook because it's hard to measure, but it's the most important. Emotional maturity is the ability to regulate your emotions, take responsibility for your actions, and communicate needs without blame. If your partner is emotionally immature, your marriage will be exhausting. You'll spend your life managing their emotions instead of building a partnership. Let me show you what emotional immaturity looks like. I dated someone who couldn't take responsibility. Every argument was my fault. Every problem was because of something I did. She'd say things like, "You made me feel this way," or "If you hadn't done that, I wouldn't have reacted." That's emotional immaturity. She couldn't own her reactions, and that meant I was always walking on eggshells, trying not to trigger her. That's not a partnership. That's parenting. So here's the checkpoint. Can they take responsibility for their emotions and actions? Can they communicate needs without blaming you? Can they apologize sincerely and change behavior? If the answer is no, don't marry them. Because emotional immaturity doesn't improve with time. It gets worse. Fifth, family and cultural compatibility. This one's uncomfortable, but it matters. Your family background shapes your expectations for marriage, parenting, holidays, boundaries, and loyalty. If your partner's family culture clashes with yours, you'll fight about it for the rest of your lives. I'll give you an example. I knew a guy who married into a family that expected constant involvement. Sunday dinners were mandatory. Holidays were non-negotiable. His wife assumed he'd just adapt, but his family was the opposite. Independent. Low contact. He valued autonomy. They fought constantly because neither understood the other's family culture, and neither was willing to compromise. That's the trap. You don't just marry a person, you marry their family. So here's the checkpoint. What are their family dynamics? What do they expect from you regarding family involvement? How do they handle boundaries with parents and siblings? If you can't align on family expectations, marriage will be a constant tug of war. Sixth, shared values and life philosophy. This is the foundation. You can compromise on logistics. You can't compromise on values. If you value honesty and they value convenience, you'll clash. If you value growth and they value comfort, you'll drift apart. If you value loyalty and they value freedom, you'll resent each other. Values are non-negotiable because they dictate every decision you make. Let me give you the checkpoint. What do you value most in life? Honesty, loyalty, growth, security, freedom, family, career, adventure. If your top 3 values don't overlap with theirs, don't get married. Because every major decision will expose that misalignment. And misaligned values create irreconcilable differences. Now, let me tie this together, because this is where most people make the fatal mistake. They ask, "Do I love them?" instead of, "Can I build a life with them?" Love is the easy part. Compatibility is the hard part. And compatibility requires brutal honesty about whether you align on money, conflict, life vision, emotional maturity, family, and values. If you don't align on these 6 checkpoints, don't assume love will fix it. It won't. Love amplifies who you already are. If you're incompatible, love just makes the incompatibility more painful. So here's my challenge to you. Sit down with your partner. Go through this checklist. Ask the hard questions. And if you can't align, have the courage to walk away. Because marrying the wrong person doesn't just waste time. It destroys lives. Like this video if you're ready to make smarter decisions about marriage. And subscribe because next week, we're breaking down the psychology of why people stay in relationships they know are wrong. Let's go.